Before we dive in, a quick note. This story's softer than usual. Like a blade dulled just enough to tease, I'm testing a way to keep it sharp, gripping, but safe for this platform. It's a one-off, not the new standard. Thanks for sticking with me through every tale, even the experiments. Now, let's get to it. I saw it all from my kitchen window in a crumbling Brooklyn tenement. His wife screaming, arms flailing, her voice sharp enough to cut through brick. Tom, now 38, just stood there, hands half raised, like he'd given up fighting. She jabbed a finger at the car, yelled something I couldn't catch, then slammed the door and peeled out, tires spitting gravel like venom. She didn't even let him grab his coat. He lingered on the curb, shoulders sagging as the engine faded. He looked around, lost, like he didn't know where to go next. I didn't wait for him to knock. I opened the door and stepped into the hall before he hit the stairs. "Hey," I said, casual, like I hadn't just watched his marriage burn. "You okay?" He paused, tried to smile, but it didn't stick. "Yeah, just a rough night," he said. "I'll crash at her place tomorrow. Maybe bunk in that empty unit for a bit." I leaned against the frame, arms crossed, head tilted. "It's not ready. Pipes are still a mess. Come in for the night." He hesitated. Not pride, but habit. Like he didn't want to owe anyone anything. But he was tired. I saw it in the way his shoulders didn't square up. So I stepped aside, let the silence pull him in. The light was soft. The couch was clean. I grabbed a blanket from the hall and tossed it down, like I hadn't pictured this a dozen times. Tea or something stronger I offered, already reaching for a mug. "Tea's fine," he mumbled, sinking into the cushions. I handed him the mug and sat across, acting like this was normal, like I hadn't played this moment out in my head. "You can stay tonight," I said softly. "Till you figure things out," he nodded, sipped, set the mug down with both hands like it was the only thing keeping him steady. He didn't say thanks. He didn't need to. When I stood to head to my room, I caught the way he watched me. Quick, then gone. Like he didn't mean to look but couldn't help it. It was enough to know I hadn't misread him. The house was quiet past midnight, but I didn't sleep. I lay there, listening. The faint creak of the couch as he shifted, the soft clink of the mug when he set it down, the occasional long sigh, like he was trying to exhale the weight of the night. I stayed in bed nearly an hour before giving up and padding to the kitchen. The hall light caught the edge of his face. He was awake, sitting up, one hand on the couch's arm, like he'd been carved there. Waiting. "You okay?" I asked, pretending to grab water. He turned, eyes red-rimmed. "Yeah, just thinking." I nodded, leaning against the counter. Sorry if the couch is stiff. "Should have offered the bed." He blinked, like he wasn't sure if I meant it. I smiled to make it sound like a joke, but I didn't take it back. He didn't answer right away, just looked at me over his mug. I wasn't wearing much, just a long shirt, slipping low enough to blur the line between careless and deliberate. When I turned to grab something from the fridge, I didn't rush to tug it down. "You sure this isn't a hassle?" he asked, still watching. I shut the fridge softly, took my glass, and stepped closer, not too close, just a few feet from the couch. "If it was, you'd be somewhere else." He nodded slightly, looked away, but not before I caught it a flicker behind the thanks. A pause that said, "I see what you're doing. And I'm not running. I sipped slowly, held his gaze. Try to rest, I said, turning toward the hall. You're not going anywhere tomorrow. As I passed the couch, my hand brushed his shoulder. Light. Just enough to make him notice. Not enough to call it anything. I didn't look back, didn't hurry my steps. I didn't hear him get up, but I felt it a shift in the air, like someone moving too careful to be heard. A small creak near the hall, then stillness. Seconds later, he was at my doorway, barefoot, shirt wrinkled, eyes uncertain. You're up early, I said, voice low. I was on the bed, coffee mug in hand, legs tucked under. The curtains were cracked, letting the first light spill in like a confession. He rubbed his neck. Didn't sleep much. Couch'll do that. He gave a weak smile, looked like he might turn back. You can sit, I added before he could leave. He hesitated a second, then stepped in, sat on the bed's edge, careful on the blanket, like he wasn't sure the rules had changed. I handed him my spare mug. He took it with a quiet thanks, his glance lingering too long before he looked away. Didn't know if you'd be here this morning, he said. Where else would I be? He shrugged. After last night, I don't know. Felt like I crossed a line. I didn't. It hung there a moment. He stared at the mug, like it might tell him something else. I'm not making this hard for you, I said. Not even close. He nodded slowly, lips pressed, like he wanted to say something but wasn't sure he should. I let the silence stretch before I reached out, set my hand on his, not firm, just enough to say he could stay. He looked at me, really looked, and this time, he didn't turn away. He didn't pull back, even when my thumb grazed his knuckles. It was small, barely anything. But I felt him lean into it, like his body answered before his mind could catch up. Don't want to make this messy, he said, voice low, still watching me. I tilted my head. Then don't. He let out a long breath, the kind you exhale when you've been holding it for hours, maybe years. You sure? He asked. I didn't answer with words. I shifted closer on the bed, tucking one leg over his, letting our hands rest between us. He didn't move, didn't speak, just looked at me, waiting for a reason to stop. I didn't give him one. I leaned forward slowly until our foreheads touched. His eyes closed. Mine didn't. I wanted to see his face when he finally let go. His hand slid to my waist, hesitant at first, then sure when I didn't stop him. I touched the hem of his shirt. Not pulling. Not yet. Just feeling the warmth where the fabric ended. We didn't rush. We didn't speak. We didn't need to. I leaned back, took his hand, pulled him with me. You can stay, I whispered, but not on the couch. And that was it. The second night wasn't like the first. No couch, no tea, no small talk, just the quiet rhythm of breath in the dark, his warmth beside me, a silence that made everything louder. He lay on his side, close enough that I felt him through the stillness. We hadn't touched. Not really. Just a closeness that stretched with intent. I turned toward him slowly. The mattress shifted, just enough for his hand to graze my hip. He didn't move it. Neither did I. Instead, I reached up, ran my fingers along his jaw, letting them settle at the back of his neck. He met me halfway, forehead to mine, like we'd done that morning. But this time, he stayed longer. His hand moved gently to my waist, his touch slow, deliberate, like he was tracing a line he'd never cross again. My lips brushed his collarbone, his shoulder, the edge of his jaw. Every move was intentional, every second stretched. His hand slid along my back, across my waist, pausing like he was reading a story written on my skin. I let him. I wanted him to take his time. City light slipped through the curtains, casting faint patterns across his chest, along the curve of my arm as it moved over him. We didn't speak. We didn't need to. And when it all slowed down, it wasn't exhaustion. It was ease. I rested my head against him, feeling the steady rise of his breath beneath me. He shifted, pulled me closer, his arm loose around my waist. I glanced at the hall, the couch untouched, still made up, like it had been waiting for him to choose wrong. Then I looked back at him, ran my fingers lightly across his chest, and whispered the only thing I needed: "You're staying right here." Some silences say more than words ever could. If you were in his place, invited into a moment like that, no words, no expectations, what would you do? Would you stay or walk away? Be honest. Would you have been there? Tell me in the comments. I'll read, and before you go, hit like, subscribe, and the bell so you never miss the next story. Thanks for being here.